Ceasefire headlines appear, yet emergency summits continue, and cargo ships idle offshore. Insurers pause coverage. At home, scheduled outages start, ration notices spread, and banks slow down withdrawals. The gunfire fades, but the squeeze stays.
Tensions between the United States and Russia have dramatically escalated.
Here is what life will look like after World War III. People imagine the end of a world war as a clear finish line. In real life, it is rarely clean. Fighting often fades into pauses, broken truces, and frozen fronts that stay tense for years. Leaders call it stability because trade and politics need a label. Families just feel the strain. Even when leaders announce an end, demobilizing forces and reopening trade can take months. The war is over on paper, but the recovery clock starts late. The bigger point is this: damage travels. Even if your town never sees a crater, the systems that feed it can break elsewhere. Ports rely on schedules and insurance. Utilities rely on parts and trained crews. Hospitals rely on steady deliveries and calm staffing. War disrupts all of that, then leaves it uneven. Most Americans notice the latter phase through ordinary signals. Prices jump, deliveries slip, new rules show up at work, at airports, or at the pump. Nobody can tell you when it all goes back. The hardest part is not the shock, it is the routine. You are left living inside limits that do not feel temporary. The first month is patchy. One region looks almost normal. Another is rotating power, short on fuel, and missing basics. That unevenness is common in the aftermath because repairs, security, and supplies get triaged. You enter a paperwork season. ID checks become more frequent. Employers rewrite schedules, pause projects, or cut hours while they sort out suppliers and security. Insurance disputes pile up. Aid programs exist, but they are slow, and they ask for proof you may not have in one place. Your home rhythm shifts too. Commutes change when roads are damaged, and repairs drag. Schools adjust calendars, bus routes, and even lunch menus based on cost and availability. Grocery runs become shorter and more frequent because stock is unpredictable. The big mistake is spending like the old economy will snap back next month. In the first 30 days, you do better by keeping cash flow steady, delaying major purchases, and treating convenience as a luxury. Supply chains do not simply restart, they rebuild in pieces. A port can be open and still move half its normal volume because it lacks cranes, workers, spare parts, or insurance coverage. Rail can move goods, but only if locomotives are serviced and key bridges are safe. Trucking depends on fuel, tires, and drivers willing to stay on the road. The quiet killer is parts. A transformer is not fixed with effort alone. It needs a specific unit made by a limited number of factories. The same goes for water pumps, hospital devices, industrial sensors, and farm equipment. Shortages become waiting lists, and waiting lists become outages. You may also see more local workarounds, refurbished parts, repaired electronics, and small shops making substitutes. That helps, but it also means more variation and less predictable quality. You will still see products on shelves, but the mix changes. Chips, medical consumables, vehicle parts, and farm inputs stay tight. Available and affordable split into two different worlds. What you can do is simple maintenance buying. Filters, batteries, bulbs, basic tools, and staple items that you already use. The goal is to keep your household running longer, not to fill rooms with panic. After a major conflict, the grid is not just fragile. It is stressed and behind on repairs. Crews may be thin, systems may be hardened against cyber threats, and the supply of large transformers can be scarce. When key components fail, utilities patch, reroute, and rotate load. That is why rolling outages become a policy tool, not a surprise. From your side, it shows up as scheduled downtime, limits on heavy power use, and neighborhoods taking turns. It feels like regression, but it can prevent a wider collapse. Plan your day around it. Charge devices when power is on, and heat or cool one safe room with doors closed. Water systems have their own weak points. Treatment plants need chemicals and power. Pumps need parts. Staff need to show up consistently. If any link breaks, safety margins shrink. Boil notices become common, even when the water is usually fine. Fuel is managed by priority. Emergency services, logistics, and utilities get first access. Everyone else competes for what remains, and prices jump when deliveries lag. Your practical plan should stay grounded. Keep a modest water reserve and rotate it. Have simple lighting and cooking options. Keep your vehicle maintained and your tank from running on empty. The classic mistake is betting everything on one fix. One generator fails, one app goes dark, one station runs dry. A couple of small backups beat one big promise. Food is where the aftermath becomes personal. Prices rise for plain reasons: fertilizer costs, diesel costs, transport delays, and refrigeration losses when power is uneven. Even when farms produce enough, a shaky delivery system creates waste, and waste turns into higher prices. You also see quite a shrink. Packages get smaller, brands swap ingredients, options thin out. Some items vanish for weeks, then return with limits. A smart household approach is calories, simplicity, and rotation. You do not need exotic buckets or perfect plans. You need foods your family already eats, stored in a way that gets used and replaced. Rice, pasta, beans, oats, canned meals, peanut butter, and shelf-stable basics can carry you through expensive stretches without drama. The emotional pull is to hoard. Hoarding feels like control, but it creates waste and conflict. Consistency works better. Build a steady buffer, track what you use, and avoid joining every panic wave that hits social media. Healthcare does not vanish after World War III, but it narrows. Hospitals triage harder when staffing is thin and supplies are rationed. Elective care gets delayed. Ambulances may take longer if crews and fuel are limited. Clinics cut hours or close in some areas. Medication becomes less predictable. Imports slow. Generic substitutions increase. Cold chain drugs are harder to handle when power and transport are unstable. Insurance rules tighten as costs rise and networks shift. None of this happens with one announcement. It shows up as delays, substitutions, and call back next week. For your household, keep it practical. Refill prescriptions early when you can. Write down medications, doses, allergies, and doctor contacts. Keep a basic first aid kit for common problems like fever, stomach issues, cuts, and minor burns. Keep copies of key medical documents with your IDs. The mistake is assuming emergency rooms can absorb routine life. In a strained system, prevention and early action matter more than last-minute rescues. Subscribe to the WW3 files for calm, realistic breakdowns that help your family think clearly under pressure today. After the fighting slows, information often gets worse, not better. Outages knock out routers, platforms change rules, local news loses staff, rumors fill gaps because people hate uncertainty, and someone always claims inside access. Official updates arrive slower too. Agencies verify damage reports and try not to trigger runs on fuel or food. That delay creates room for bad information to move first. Your job is not to track every claim. Your job is to avoid acting on noise. Pick one primary source, one backup source, and one local channel that focuses on verifiable updates. Keep at least one offline option. A basic radio, printed numbers, and a paper map cover you when apps fail or networks overload. If a story would change your finances, travel, or safety, confirm it twice before you move. Emotionally, this is a grind. Doom scrolling feels busy, but it solves nothing. Set check-in times, then close the feed. Use the rest of your attention on tasks you can finish. Post-war stability often comes with more rules than people expect. Emergency measures linger. Curfews appear in places with unrest or theft. Travel gets slower with checkpoints near critical sites and on major routes. Ration systems may be formal or informal, digital or paper, depending on the region. You may also see more visible protection around infrastructure: ports, power plants, water facilities, rail hubs, and fuel terminals. Sometimes that is the National Guard. Sometimes it is private security. The message is the same. These nodes keep society working. Enforcement usually shows up first around fuel, utilities, and heavily used highways. It also appears where small failures could cascade, like at substations or treatment plants. Your best move is boring competence. Keep documents ready. Plan extra time for travel. Do not escalate with stressed workers. Stay compliant and low profile. In a tight environment, calm cooperation preserves options better than arguments. Safety problems after World War III come in layers. There is ordinary theft. There is organized crime targeting fuel, copper, and supplies. Some scams spread fast because fear makes people easy to manipulate. On top of that, tempers run shorter in public spaces. Neighborhood life changes too. Mutual aid grows because local help is faster than distant systems. At the same time, conflict rises over noise, generators, water use, and who gets what first. People carry stress home, then spill it onto the street. What you do is set calm boundaries. Be friendly, not vulnerable. Help in small ways you can repeat, like sharing a verified update or checking on someone elderly. Avoid big promises you cannot keep. Use simple deterrents. Locks, lighting when possible, and keeping valuables out of sight. Keep disagreements small and private. The mistake is trying to win. In a high-stress environment, stability is the prize, not pride. Work changes shape after a major war. Some sectors surge: repairs, logistics, utilities, basic manufacturing, and security. Others shrink: luxury spending, fragile services, and businesses tied to cheap imports. Layoffs can happen while other jobs sit open. Banks and credit tighten. Fees rise. Approvals slow. During strain, withdrawals may be limited or delayed. Cash flow matters more than your credit limit because you cannot buy what is not there. For your household, focus on durability. Cut expenses you do not truly need. Avoid new long commitments that assume stable prices and steady income. Build a modest buffer and expect delays in payroll, insurance, and reimbursements. Keep digital and paper copies of pay stubs, leases, and tax records. In slow systems, proof matters. Emotionally, many people grieve the old life. They bargain with reality by keeping the same habits, then get shocked again. The healthier path is acceptance without panic. You adjust your budget and routines to match the world you are living in now. The global system after World War III is less united. Trade blocs harden, sanctions remain. Shipping stays expensive because routes are riskier and insurers price that risk in. Goods still move, but with more delays, more paperwork, and more politics. Tech and energy become strategic resources, not just commodities. Countries and companies compete for secure supply, and that raises costs while new capacity is built. You feel it as longer waits, fewer options, and substitute products that never quite match the old ones. Recovery is uneven. Places with local energy, stable governance, and domestic production regain footing faster. Others struggle because they rely on imports or face internal unrest. So you plan for a longer transition, not a quick snap back. Habits built for a perfect economy will keep breaking. Habits built for constraint will keep working. You do not need a complex system. You need a repeatable plan that does not exhaust you. Start with priorities in a clear order. Water, food, light and heat, meds, cash flow, and documents. If one area is unstable, shore that up before chasing upgrades. Keep rationing realistic. Steady use beats dramatic stockpiles. Track what you actually consume, then keep a buffer that matches real life. Rotate supplies so nothing expires unnoticed. Create a communication plan that your family can remember when tired. Set check-in times. Choose meeting points. Pick one out-of-town contact who can relay messages if local networks fail. Write it down and practice once. Keep home operations steady when services are inconsistent. Cooking, hygiene, laundry, and trash handling protect health and reduce conflict. Simple routines preserve morale. Skills matter more than gear. Learn to cook from the basics, fix small leaks, and keep a simple inventory. If you have kids, give them small jobs. It reduces fear and keeps the house moving. Use one calm rule. Every day, do one useful thing that improves stability. Refill water, cook basic food, replace a filter, pay a bill, check on someone nearby. Small steps compound, and that is how households move from chaos to control. After World War III, life does not stay in shock. It becomes an adjustment. You do not need to fear preparing. You need clarity, routines, and decisions that keep your household steady.